Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Let's just make sure we've got some volume on this and there isn't any issues this morning. So if you're on, just tell me if the volume's okay. Tell me if the volume is okay, and then we'll get started with some comments. Anyway, let's just check in the sound. We'll just get, oh, good morning, no issues. Perfect, lanky. Right, let's get into it. Where did we go from last night? Where do we go from last night? I'll get some of the comments first. Let's face it, right? Celtic, the defeat in Italy has extended Celtic's winless run in the Champions League to 15 matches. And the media are going to pick up on this and they're going to say that we're the first British club to put together a long run of 15 matches without a win in the competition. Celtic have conceded at least once in every of their last 26 Champions League games. Jesus, against teams from Europe's top five leagues, dating back to December 2008, when Celtic then beat Villarreal 2-0, 2008. Brendan Rodgers said, "We need to have our very best players available. What makes a difference is that bit of experience and genuine quality." Is he having a direct dig at the board? Peter Lawwell then went on to say, "It's something that we can hopefully resolve in the next couple of windows." In the next couple of windows. He's obviously staying around, but it's unbelievable that we're here again, the same old, same old. And it was interesting, same old, we're not investing in the team. Let's just get right into it and get the comments up. Make sure that you do hit the thumbs up. There's 35 folk online just now. There's only 10 thumbs up. So make sure you hit the thumbs up for this video. I'm going to read some comments from YouTube this morning before I go into the comments on this video live. And it's interesting. I don't know if you've seen what happened at the stadium last night, but it was absolutely terrible. Fans not getting in. First comment that's came up is fans should boycott the next European game. The board are to blame. Keep selling our better players rather than building a team. Total embarrassment in Europe. The next comment: stop buying academy players to sell on. Start buying tried and tested players. And as for Rodgers, everything is too slow. Kyogo can't get near the ball. Kyogo's not the same player. This is awful football to watch. Awful football. Another one, it started when Brendan Rodgers was unveiled. He never once looked at Peter Lawwell during the press conference back in the summer. It is obvious Peter Lawwell doesn't like Brendan Rodgers because he was the reason that he left the first time, which is true. I think Peter Lawwell is trying to make Brendan Rodgers look bad, so he leaves, which could easily happen. Peter Lawwell will not back Brendan Rodgers. So what do you think of that? Security, and this is one of the ones I wanted. I feel sorry for Angela. Security over in Rome was shocking. My daughter was there. It's bad enough for having to take her shoes off, but police checking around her bra and underwear. I think it's absolutely shocking. She was mortified. She's 25-year-old. She's been to the Celtic away games before. There was Italians throwing flares at the Celtic fans last night. Jesus. Anyway, let's get on to some of the comments. Let's get on to some of the comments and just make it. Get everyone. Paul McEwen's first up. Hail, hail. Chilpel. We need to strengthen in January and make sure that we win the league. No more project players. Yep, Brendan Rodgers said that last night. Lanky says we don't use the paraphrase going toe to toe again. Yeah, that's just not even talk about that. Let's not even talk about that. Looks like the Green Brigade will be back in their section. But I always said that the real reason that the club wanted this Green Brigade ban to go on was to keep them away from the European games. Now that we're kind of out of Europe and it's a bit of an implosion, the Green Brigade will get back in and nothing will be said about it. It'll all be. I don't even go there. Morning, Baz. Thanks, Lank. Helen's in the house. League and Cup double. Brian says the League and Cup double was all that matters this season. Will we even win the Cup? I reckon we'll still win the league. We are strong enough to win the league, but I've had serious doubts about us doing the double for a long time. It all depends on who we get in January. Tarmac, he'll help you. Same old. We need some investment in the team. We invested in the team in the summer. We brought in 9 players in the summer. It's not what we needed, though. It's not the kind of investment we needed. Morning, Joseph. How are you? For those that didn't know, Ange's got a worse record than Brendan in Europe. We've never improved for years. This is the point. I was watching the State of Mind last night, and comments blame Greg Taylor for everything under the sun. Well, I agree we need a left back. Players like Calmac need to take some blame. You can blame players quite easily, but it comes down to the whole squad not being good enough. Sad thing is Lazio were there for the taking. Yep, they were that. With the Champions League changing next season, Brendan Rodgers will get the players he wants, won't be bringing in project players. Let's hope so, Brian, because as it stands, if we keep doing the same thing that we're doing and bringing in project players to try and make us better in the Champions League, I think when it comes to the Champions League next season, I've got a big fear about it, especially with the current squad of players. And I think there'll be a few first team players will leave and they'll be sold in the next window, which will be interesting. Lennon and Strachan had a better in Europe with less spending. It goes back to 2008, the last time that we had a good run in Europe. Although we did beat Barcelona under Lenny, the record in Europe has just been absolutely terrible. It goes back 15 games now without a win. 15 games without a win. I'm glad Rodgers was back at first, but we have rapidly, yeah, we're going downhill. We're going downhill. The boardroom, something's drastically gone wrong since June. Has it gone wrong since June? I think it's always been there. I think it's just the owner went and got Brendan Rodgers as a safe pair of hands. And do you think Rodgers was sold a false promise? That's an interesting one. Who really cares? I think he wasn't sold a false promise. He knew the way that the club operated. I think he had got the phone call from the owner. And then you've got to remember, going back to the summer, he did have that meeting with Callum McGregor to talk about the club and talk about everything, what was good and what was bad about it. And they had their long lunch. They had their long siesta lunch that went on for about 3 hours. One of the little Spanish islands just off the coast from his here. And I think he knew what he was walking into. I think the club had been going in the right direction, but we brought in far too many. And we said it at the time, there was no need to bring in all these players. I think the club expected more players to leave than what actually did in the summer. And I think that's where the problem lies. I start with a pen and counted Taylor's passing 15 forward passes because he had nobody in front of him to pass to. All passes were completed. Well, there's an interesting one, Chilpel. People will slate Greg Taylor, and people will slate all the Celtic players, and the system. There's something wrong with the system that we're playing just now. Is that down to Brendan Rodgers making it out to the board? And this is why we're getting linked with another Portuguese winger this morning. Rodgers is running the team, Baz. His ego is out of control, as football is born to watch. His ego's out of control. That's an interesting one. I did say in this morning's video, will this tide start to turn against Brendan Rodgers? Because a lot of people still think that Brendan Rodgers walked out the club. He was more pushed than anything. Lawwell did want the compensation for him. He didn't want Brendan Rodgers to walk for free in the summer. It could be the fact that, and I don't think I think he's not as, his ego isn't as what it was when he was here the first time round. Definitely not. He's calmer. He's a lot more calmer, and he looks at the whole team. And he does talk about the backroom staff more. You can't rock up teams playing the system. You do come on, and you need more pragmatic than that. Yes, Dylan and had the same approach. Yep. We need 3 or 4 non-project players in that needed. We've been speaking about this for weeks and weeks now. This isn't something new. This is This isn't something new. More than new, Helen. And the reason I'm laughing is 1888 CFC is now dreading the Bucky Thistle game. Oh, come on. It's not going to be that bad. It's not going to be that bad. I hate watching Rodgers' style. I really think is it his style or is it the players not listening to the manager? Anyway, like I said in the video I did earlier, I think it's only going to end one way, and it's not going to be happy, and it's not going to be exciting. But Brendan won't walk. Brendan will not walk. He has said, look, we've got the next 2 or 3 windows to improve things. Brendan will not walk out this 3-year contract. We're going to be stuck with him, if that's a metaphor you want to use. We're going to have Brendan for the next 3 seasons. Well, 2. Because we're half a season into his contract. He will stick around for the 3, and then he'll walk after the 3. So it's a case of how much can we improve in that time? How many players can we bring in that are no longer project players? The problem is I don't think it's necessarily the system and the way that he plays. I think it's the quality of players, and he's now saying this. For months, he's been saying that look, we've got the squad, we're bringing players back. Last night, he turned the tables completely on Peter Lawwell and the board, etc., to saying we need to bring in quality players. We need to bring in quality players so that they can play the type of football that he wants them to play. Anyway, I'm on everyone happy hangovers. The current recruitment does not work. The board has failed over and over. They need to step aside with fresh ideas and fresh bloods. Well, they're all voted in at the AGM again, Michael. And I think that it's the same people who were in charge 10 years ago, and we haven't progressed. We can go through managers, we can blame styles, but when it comes down to it, it's everything behind the scenes. We slated the board back when Neil Lennon missed out on the 10. We wanted everyone out in the back room. Ange Postecoglou come in and he wanted to take everyone from the back room with him because they were that. The back room are the one consistent thing. Do we need to clear out of all that? Is this what you're saying? Because let's face it, it's the same people doing the same training. John Kennedy is highly sought after, but we need to start looking at the whole club now. It's not just the recruitment because, well, it does just come down to the recruitment. There has to be something going on with the board. Anyway, I don't see Rodgers here next season, says James. He will be. He will be. In August, I said if Brendan got his own players, we would see a big difference. He only signed Palman, Phillips, and Bernardo. The rest were lined up for Ange. And let's talk about Ange's players. Let's talk about Bernabe. Bernabe was brought in for some good money, and it looks like Bernabe is now probably going to go out the door. We can't continue in spending £3 to £4 million on players that don't get anywhere near the team. The fact that Bernabe can't get it past Greg Taylor is quite astonishing when you see that everyone's blaming Greg Taylor for things. I don't see Rodgers being here after February, says Paul. You're full of joys. You're full of joys this morning. We ain't winning the title this season. We'll see how that one works. We've got players in the squad that know how to win the league, and I'm still saying that we're going to win the league. We're going to win it. I'd actually admire Rodgers if he did walk, but only if he calls out the board. Well, he did walk the last time. Well, he was pushed. He was pushed because Lawwell wanted 10 million compensation. And this is the thing that people don't remember. You know, he had told the board that he was leaving the next summer, and the Lawwell was like, "Not a chance. Are you getting to walk out for nothing? I'm going to take the money from you." Anyway, Turnbull will definitely leave. Where we're going to get quality Scottish players for Europe for next season. They'll want to play in Europe in the EPL or Europe. Yeah, that's true. Then he needs to be playing every week. We'll be lucky to keep Bernardo for 2 transfer windows. That's if we buy him. We've got the option to buy. Will we buy him? Will we spend the money on Paulo Bernardo? That's the next question. We need to be bringing players in that know how to play a European game. That's for certainty. I was looking forward to the games when Ange was here, but now I dread the games. Common denominator, Brendan Rodgers. Enough said. Downhill and no breaks. We are lost, said Joseph. I'm going to get up all your comments this morning because I love the fact Strachan twice, Lennon once made the last 16 of the Champions League with less spending. And that was a long time ago that Gordon Strachan was Celtic managers. But football has changed since then. Football has changed since those days. It's changed dramatically. So trying to compare, it's like trying to compare apples with oranges, to be fair. We need to stop looking back at previous managers and what they've done a long time ago. Jock Stein did a lot more in Europe. The modern game, Celtic haven't adapted to the modern game as much as we think. We have this format of buying in European cheap players and trying to make them better and sell them on. We all know this, but as a club, we have not adapted over the last 10 years to the way that the modern game is played in the European arena. Taylor never impressed. Missed past a single pass in the second half. I watched them carefully, said Chilpel. Lanky says Brown, because he had the players that he wanted to be there. And like now, there's definitely a few players that don't want to play for Brendan. That's an interesting one. Bring back Strachan. Oh, dear. The problem isn't Brendan Rodgers. It's the mafia families that run Celtic. Yes. Was a injured? I've no idea. Great, another winger. I didn't see why Brendan didn't see Gonzalez can't find his left foot. Yeah, place like yep. Now, save for edges. Smell Lawwell is all over this implosion. It happens again and again and again. Rodgers has no style. Baz, the football is boring. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny that football is boring. But you can only pee with the tadger you've got, as they say. And many people are on about Kyogo. He can't play. He's not getting service. Playing this backward and sideway passing. Yep. And when you look at the way that we played, it was always down the wings. We're just not doing it. Anyway. £310 million players for me, buddy. Goalkeeper, centre back, and striker. That's what we need, but it's never going to happen. Yep. Only interested in money because they don't care how embarrassed we get. Charlatans. And not enough people are calling them out though. You'll get everyone saying, look, it's not the board's fault. It's not the board's fault. It's the manager and the players. It's the manager. Everything's going to get focused to Brendan Rodgers, and Brendan Rodgers not going to be good enough. And the board will say, look, we've done everything right. We've got all this money in the bank. It's Chilpel's giving the season ticket to his son. He can't bear it. Brendan even said himself, I've got the players lined up for January and next August. Fans need to trust his process. We do need to trust his process. And as long as he has got the right type of player, as long as he's got the right type of player lined up, that'll be fine, Lanky. That'll be fine. He's gone in February, said Paul. Who voted him? Michael, it was everyone at the AGM voted for him. So people that have Celtic shares voted him. We're run like a private golf club. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm just jumping through the comments there. I'm sorry if I'm missing out some of your comments. Bucky will do the same. So I can't actually believe Brendan. Paul's in the house. Postecoglou and Clark get the most out of McGregor, playing him deep line playmaker. Brendan is killing his game, asking him to operate as a number 6, passing back and sideways. Yep, I'm not going to disagree with that. When Callum McGregor played for Scotland a couple of weeks ago, he was one of the best players on the pitch. Been saying it for years now. The board aren't interested in Europe, only interested in winning Scotland and keeping their pockets full. The board admitted that. Peter Lawwell's admitted that himself. Peter Lawwell's admitted that, look, when you look at the bigger picture, they know that they're not going to get into the big Champions League every year. So that's why they're banking money. They want to have that dominance. And Peter Lawwell said this years ago. He said, our main objective is to be dominant in Scottish football. Lawwell out. Now should be the Green Brigade banner. Forget the world politics. Green Brigade did a banner a few years ago with don't fall asleep at the wheel. Lawwell needs to go. You're going to get there's certain Celtic websites that back Lawwell and back him completely. So it'll be interesting to see what they say over the next couple of days. Michael says, we have the perfect player for the 6th of J League. Awata's going to go. I don't think Awata's going to be here. Awata was going to go out on loan in the summer, but he was injured, so he didn't. He didn't bring back the bonnet. Said Joseph, the fans have no say. The fans don't have a say in what goes on at the club. But anyway, we talk about here. Let's talk about the here and now and not Lennon and Strachan. Yeah, I'm pretty much saying that. Morning, Monty. How are you? January comes and Peter will be. Oh, there's no point in signing anyone in January because they're out of Europe, etc. Exactly. That's the big worry for me. The big worry for me is that we go down that route. We need to be looking at January as a time to get players in that are going to make the first team better. No more. We need to be building a first team that's Brendan's first team. Is that going to change the way that we play? Do we need better wingers that can get past players? I think Ange Postecoglou, for all the good that he did do at Celtic, he bought in some amount of absolute garbage as well. You know, he brought in some players that have got no. Gucci came to Celtic and went straight back to Japan. So let's not think that Ange Postecoglou was some kind of messiah. Because let's face it, anyone that we got 30 million to spend that season should have been able to win the league. And he couldn't wait to get out the door also. A lot of people slate Brendan Rodgers for jumping ship, but Ange Postecoglou led Celtic up a merry path and made them wait until the end of the season to then tell them before the Scottish Cup final started, before a ball had been kicked on the day, he told Lawwell and our owner that he wanted to go down and speak to Spurs. So yeah, it all comes down to the board, if you ask me. Never mind the Green Brigade. All Celtic fans should display of protest against Lawwell. Peter Lawwell was shouting Brendan's praise at the AGM video. Yeah, but he's going to do that. He's going to do that. Just it has to be seen to have a nice Celtic type family together. So let's not pretend that they're best friends. Let's not pretend they're best friends. Celtic put out content to make sure that it shows that everything is rosy in the garden. They have done for years. The Peter Lawwell PR machine is fully back in effect. Anyway, Lang says players will go Awata, Bernabei, Corn, McCarthy, Seagrass, Mikey Johnson, and maybe even Kyogo and Cameron Carter-Vickers. Yeah, you never know. You never know. Anyone who goes to games can see that Awata has quality. He plays in midfield, but the favourite Callum is allowed to play poorly and not get dropped. Yep, you can see it when you see a lot of things when you're at games that you don't necessarily see on TV. And the bigger voice out there, unfortunately, is armchair fans and people that sit and watch it on TV. They talk about it online the most. And I'm just talking about that from experience from years ago into the game. And must have let the board know. Yeah, let them know before. You got to remember, it goes back to that meeting months before the Scottish Cup final, and he had the meeting with them. He told them then that he was hanging off. He didn't want to make a decision until after the Scottish Cup final. The information that was coming out of Celtic to me was that he was offered the deal. He was given the biggest deal. They expected him to sign it. But when the Spurs job came up, he changed his mind. And that's why it was such a big shock. Remember back to the Scottish Cup final when we won the Scottish Cup, usually you would see the pictures of Lawwell ecstatic that they'd won the Scottish Cup. And Lawwell and Desmond, their faces were tripping them. Their faces were tripping them. They knew then. We had just won the Scottish Cup and their faces were tripping them because they knew that they knew then. He's not staying. He's going to Tottenham. If he's wanting to talk to Tottenham, he's going to Tottenham. But then we did get 5 million compensation for him. Anyway, the last 4 or 5 years have been pretty spot on with comings and goings. I can't deny that. But when you look at the players that were brought in last summer, Calmack was poor last night for the first time. Lost it with displays. Rodgers can't stand Lowell. You can see that. Yep. Ange had the board on their toes. Did he have the board on their toes? I mean, it was the fact that we backed him so much. So much. January is only 4 weeks away. The clock is ticking to keep the players. Brendan Rodgers and Lowell. It is going to be an interesting. I can't actually wait till the transfer window opens because it's going to be an interesting time because there's no Celtic games. Celtic will be away at their training camp. I don't know if it's Spain this year. I don't think they'll be going back to Dubai. I think Brendan will probably try and get them down to the south of Spain where it's warmer. But don't quote me on that. They might just go back to Dubai. You know what Celtics are like? You know what Celtics are like? They might just go, bugger it, we're going back to Dubai. But they always have a good run after the window shuts and we get back, and we always go on a good run in January. So let's hope we can continue that this year. Whenever we'll have a half decent team, but no depth and quality beyond that. Big Dom, you hit the nail on the head. We've brought in players that haven't added to that. Chilwell, Cameron Carter-Vickers was solid last night until the last 10 minutes. But you could say that about every game. It's always the last 10 minutes that are getting us. Teams will sit back, and they kind of played us a bit like what Motherwell did. Anyway, we'll move on. I don't really want to keep on going on about last night because it is what it is. And I would rather talk about everything that the fans had to go through before the game. The fact that, an hour before, 45 minutes before kickoff, there was massive queues. People got in after the game had started. It's absolutely terrible. Anyway, Lowell probably banned the Green Brigade, so there were no banners before the AGM, most definitely, and that was guaranteed. They made sure, and I always knew that as soon as the whole European thing was almost done and dusted, they would get back in. We'd get back in. Rangers will beat us next month. No chance we are winning that derby. Come on. Of course we will. Of course we will. We hope. Monty said that. Look, they're not going to have. There's going to be no Sevco fans in the ground, right? There's not going to be any Rangers fans in the ground. If we cannot motivate our players, and if the whole stadium cannot motivate this team to win that game, there's something wrong with the fan base. And that's all I'm going to say with that. But the Green Brigade will be back in, the boys will be back in. So hopefully we'll have enough atmosphere at the game. Because let's face it, if we were to have played them over the last couple of weeks, could you imagine playing the Rangers with no Green Brigade in that? And that atmosphere that's been at the ground the past couple of weeks. Interesting. Chilwell says Rodgers is waiting until next summer to get Kieran Tierney, so Taylor will be the left back. I don't think Kieran Tierney is not going to come back to Celtic. Can knock that one on the head, Chilwell. He's not coming back to Celtic. I don't think so. I mean, he's injured in Spain just now. I think he'll stay in Spain if he wants to have a good little career. He's not going to come back to Scotland and play the crappy league that we're playing in. Not a chance. I don't think that's just more in personal point of view. Anyway, have the day, folks. If I'm O'Reilly, I'd want my career to improve. I'd want out as soon as possible. No one else will go to Austria again. Yes, I have to watch Taylor again, but I might shoot myself. Captain was a disgrace. Brendan Rodgers, who would come? If Brendan Rodgers did go, who would come in? Be Lenny or Kennedy. Lenny should not get near the Celtic job again. We cannot take him back again. We need to move forward. We can't keep going backwards. John Kennedy for manager? Not a chance. Not a chance. No. That's not taking us forward. It's not taking us forward at all. No, we need to think outside the box. We thought outside the box when we brought Ange Postecoglou. The board were, everyone was like, "Who is this guy?" If we can think outside the box once, we're talking about the manager leaving. The manager's going to be here next season. So he's going to be here next season. I thought the supporters were magnificent last night, and the Big Dom, the away fans are are the best fans. The fans that spend money week in, week out, going to home and away are fantastic. The ones that spend money that go to Europe are the same ones that go to most European games and away games at home. That is the core of our fan base. And it's nice everyone saying, well, let's make the stadium bigger. But get everyone that goes to away games in the league at home, get everyone that goes to away games in Europe, and put them all in one in the standing section rather than the Green Brigade, because they'll make just as much noise. And I've said this for years. Under Ronnie Dyla, the away fan base was the absolute dog's balls back then, and it's still the same folk that go to games. So yeah, the fans are always fantastic when they go away in Europe and at home. Four quality players, oven-ready signings that will help us improve the projects. Definitely. Baz, I fear a really bad season, and the board are to blame. But who else? I don't think for a bad season. No, we're not going to have a bad season. Peter King agrees with me. Not a chance that the Huns will beat us. Look, they had the new manager had their first big test. He had his first big job, and he failed. Just like every manager before them, right? Every manager before them, they come in, they get a little heads up. They think they're going to be world beaters again, and they're not. They had their first big test at the weekend. They thought they were going to go top. They thought they were going to win 56 if they beat Aberdeen at the weekend. They didn't beat Aberdeen. They failed, just like previous managers. So stop worrying about them and just start focusing on Celtic and everything that's good about Celtic just now. There is still a lot of good that's about the club just now. There's a lot of good promise, but we do need that little bit of experience to come in and help these young guys out. And that any successful team around Europe has young guys coming through and experienced players in the team. We do not have that. Well, come on, we have one goalkeeper that's meant to be experienced. Anyway, boys of the old brigade, yes, quality tune as well, and no, it is the boys of the old brigade. I mean, I've gone to my Facebook. I wouldn't want to show you all their names publicly. My Facebook was full of folks that were at the game last night. A lot of my mates were there, and they've been going for years. Anyway, Kieran Tierney will never come back. No, we can't even think about them beating us next month. Did anyone see the penalty decision against Newcastle last night? That gives Scottish refs the option. Yeah, that was a terrible one. Sheep beat him in the final, and then Clement is a proper manager nonsense. Yep. Katie will be back, says Chilpel. I'm telling you. Chilpel. Do you really think that he's going to come back to Celtic? He's going to drop his wages down. He's been on fantastic money down south. He could go anywhere down south. He could pick his team in Spain, and they would pay him double, treble, and what? And you honestly think he's going to come back to Celtic? Monty says, talking about replacing Brendan is nonsense. We just need 3 or 4 first team players. Exactly. Monty, we knew this last summer. You said that last Michael Ross said, chill. You said Kieran Tierney was coming to Celtic last summer. And it didn't. The board needs a message sent, a loud one, and Rodgers will not be here next season. The guy's scunnered. He will be here next season. He will be here next season. He's not going to walk out on his contract, not again. Catch another one. Right, that's time up as well. I'm going to flip through the comments. We've been going on for 34 minutes. People have got work to do. Villa want Kieran Tierney. 20 years of disappointment when it comes to the Champions League. On that note, we'll do a live tonight. Kieran Tierney will end up at Real Madrid. Nah, not a chance. He's not Real Madrid quality. He's not good enough for Real Madrid just now. We'll see. He could end up another top team in Spain, but I don't think he'll end up at Real Madrid. Anyway, I'll leave that as the last comment. We'll do a live 6 o'clock tonight, Celtic part time. On that note, have a fantastic day.